Welcome to Power in Words, a quiet corner of the world where we gather to find inspiration, gather our strength, and reconnect with the positive energy that resides within us all. You and I are sitting here today, perhaps separated by oceans and continents, yet intimately connected by the shared human experience of trying to build a life of meaning. This space is not about demanding perfection or pretending that the journey is always easy. It is about understanding the quiet struggles we face when the door is closed and the world stops watching. It is about acknowledging the heavy days and finding the gentle, persistent courage to step forward anyway. Think of this as a conversation between friends, a safe harbor where you can a deep breath, lay down the burdens you have been carrying, and listen to the voice of your own inner resilience. We are here to explore the landscapes of our minds, to heal what has been bruised, and to gently awaken the strength that sometimes falls asleep beneath the weight of daily life. There is a peculiar kind of silence that fills a room when we are alone with our ambitions. It is the quiet space between who we are right now and who we deeply wish to become. We harbor beautiful visions of the future. We imagine ourselves achieving our goals, creating art, building businesses, or simply becoming a more peaceful version of ourselves. Yet so often we find ourselves paralyzed on the edge of action. We stare at the blank page, the unwritten email, or the running shoes by the door, and a profound heaviness settles into our bones. From a psychological perspective, this is not a failure of character. It is not laziness, though society is quick to label it as such. It is fear in its most insidious form. We are terrified that if we actually try, if we truly pour our souls into an endeavor, we might discover that we are not enough. We fear that our best effort will be met with rejection, mediocrity, or silence. This fear manifests as a brilliant, deceptive procrastinator. We convince ourselves that we are just waiting for the perfect moment. We wait for inspiration to strike like lightning, believing that true creation must be born from a sudden, effortless burst of passion. We scroll through the curated lives of others on screens that illuminate our faces in the dark, watching them cross finish lines and celebrate victories. In doing so, we feed the silent, aching comparison that whispers we are already too late. We feel like imposters in our own lives, standing on the sidelines watching the parade go by, wondering why we cannot simply force our feet to move. The truth is that waiting for absolute readiness is a trap. The perfect moment is an illusion designed by our anxiety to keep us safe from the vulnerability of trying. We construct elaborate mental architectures of how things should be, and the sheer perfection of those dreams makes the messy, flawed reality of beginning feel unbearable. Before we can truly embrace the work we are meant to do, we must confront the voice that constantly tells us we cannot. This inner critic is often born from the echoes of our past. It speaks in the voices of those who misunderstood us, in the sting of childhood failures, and in the harsh judgments of a society that demands conformity. We carry these echoes within us, allowing them to dictate our boundaries. Doing the work requires a conscious, daily rebellion against this inner tyrant. We must learn to observe our thoughts without immediately believing them. When the critic says your effort is useless, you must cultivate the psychological distance to say that you hear the thought, but it is not the ultimate truth of who you are. You must become a vigilant guardian of your own mind, carefully curating the narratives you allow to take root. This internal regulation is the invisible foundation upon which all external achievements are built. Without it, even our greatest successes will feel hollow, overshadowed by the persistent fear that we will eventually be exposed as frauds. It is within this very paralysis, within this chamber of doubt, that the profound wisdom of Maya Angelou rings with piercing clarity. Having observed the human condition through its deepest sorrows and highest triumphs, she distilled the essence of creation into a single, undeniable truth. Nothing will work unless you do. These words are not a harsh command. They are not a demand for endless punishing labor or a subscription to the toxic belief that our worth is measured only by our productivity. Instead, they are a deeply compassionate call to reality. They remind us that the universe is immensely abundant, but it demands our participation. A seed may hold the blueprint of a mighty tree, but it must still crack open and willingly push through the dark, heavy earth to find the light. Intention, no matter how pure or beautiful, is merely a ghost until it is given a body through action. We cannot think our way into a new life. We cannot analyze our way out of stagnation. We must walk our way out, one imperfect step at a time. Let us speak honestly about the fantasy of the right time. We tell ourselves that we will start when the children are older, when the bank account is fuller, when the weather changes, or when our hearts finally stop aching. We barter away the precious, irreplaceable currency of the present moment in exchange for a future that is entirely imaginary. The harsh and beautiful truth is that conditions will never be perfect. Life is inherently messy, unpredictable, and demanding. If you wait for the waters of your life to become completely still before you set sail, you will remain in the harbor forever. Doing the work means learning to build your ship while you are already at sea. It means finding pockets of focus amidst the chaos. It means writing the book while holding down the exhausting job. It means starting the healing process while the wound is still tender. The courage to act inside the imperfection of the current moment is the defining characteristic of those who actually transform their lives. What does it actually mean to do the work? Our minds have been saturated with cinematic montages of success, leading us to believe that doing the work looks like heroic, triumphant leaps. We expect applause, we expect immediate transformation. But the reality of daily effort is profoundly ordinary. Doing the work is often quiet, unglamorous, and deeply solitary. It is sitting down at the desk when your mind is screaming for distraction. It is choosing to respond with patience when your instinct is to react in anger. It is placing one foot in front of the other on a morning when the sky is gray and your heart feels incredibly heavy. It is the willingness to be a beginner, to be clumsy, to make mistakes, and to look foolish. The renowned artist Vincent van Gogh understood the incremental nature of this process deeply, noting that great things are done by a series of small things brought together. The masterpiece is not created in a single stroke of genius. It is built upon a mountain of discarded sketches, frustrated tears, and days where nothing seemed to go right. We must understand why we resist this small, quiet work so fiercely. We resist it because it strips away our fantasies. As long as a dream remains only in our minds, it is pristine and untouched by failure. The moment we begin to work on it, it becomes real, and therefore it becomes vulnerable to the harsh winds of reality. This is where self-compassion becomes absolutely crucial. We must learn to hold space for the part of us that is terrified of failing. When we sit down to do the work and feel the familiar tightening in our chests, the urge to run away, we do not need to scold ourselves. We need to acknowledge the fear gently. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else is more important than the fear. Your growth, your healing, and your contribution to this world are far more important than the temporary discomfort of trying and stumbling. Overthinking often masquerades as our protector, but it quietly becomes the greatest barrier to doing the work. We spend hours analyzing the terrain, trying to anticipate every possible obstacle before taking a single step. We become trapped in the labyrinth of our own minds, confusing preparation with progress. While planning is valuable, it easily morphs into a sophisticated form of procrastination. The analysis must end and the movement must begin. The writer Ralph Waldo Emerson captured this beautifully when he advised, "Do the thing and you will have the power." Notice the sequence carefully. The power does not come before the action. The power is generated by the action itself. We wait for motivation to spark our engines, not realizing that action is the friction that creates the spark. Motivation is not a prerequisite for doing the work. It is the reward for starting. When you take action, you break the physical and mental inertia, signaling to your brain that something new is happening. There is a profound psychological shift that occurs when we commit to the daily practice of doing the work. We begin to change our internal narrative. For years, you might have told yourself the story that you are someone who gives up, someone who lacks discipline, or someone who is inherently unlucky. Every time you shrink away from the effort, you reinforce that identity. However, every time you choose to show up, even for 5 minutes, even when it feels pointless, you cast a vote for a new identity. You begin to prove to yourself that you are someone who tries. You become a person who honors their commitments to themselves. This builds a deep, unshakable reservoir of self-respect. Confidence does not magically descend upon us from the heavens. Confidence is the quiet, steady result of keeping the promises we make to ourselves. It is the trust we earn by repeatedly facing the blank canvas of our day and choosing to make a mark, no matter how small or unsteady that mark may be. We must also dismantle the expectation that doing the work should always feel good. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, we have developed an allergy to discomfort. We assume that if something feels hard, we must be doing it wrong. This is a tragic misunderstanding of the human growth process. The friction you feel when trying to change your life is not a sign that you are failing. It is the very evidence that you are growing. A muscle must be challenged and stretched to rebuild stronger. A caterpillar must dissolve completely within the cocoon before it can take flight. The work of self-transformation is messy, exhausting, and often painful. There will be days when you pour your heart out and see absolutely no results. It is precisely in these moments, when the enthusiasm has faded and the reality of the long road ahead sets in, that the true work begins. This is where character is forged. When we finally commit to doing the work, we must radically reframe our relationship with failure. We treat failure as an indictment of our worth, a final verdict declaring that we are not good enough. But failure is simply data. It is feedback from the environment telling us that this particular approach did not work. It is an invitation to adjust, to learn, and to try a different angle. The only true failure is the complete cessation of effort. Every time you try and miss the mark, you are gathering vital information that brings you one step closer to your target. You are building resilience, the psychological immune system that allows you to absorb the shocks of life and keep moving forward. Do not let the fear of a temporary setback prevent you from engaging in the magnificent struggle of becoming who you were meant to be. There is a loneliness inherent in doing the deeply personal work of self-improvement and creation. No one else can write your story. No one else can confront your demons. No one else can heal your past or build your future. Your loved ones can stand beside you, they can offer encouragement and support, but they cannot walk the path for you. You must take full ownership of your journey. This realization can be daunting, but it is also profoundly liberating. It means that your destiny is in your own hands. You are the architect, the author, the sovereign of your own life. You are not a victim of circumstance, waiting for someone to come and save you. You are the hero of your own narrative, and the hero's journey always requires a period of solitary struggle in the wilderness. As you walk this path, be gentle with yourself when you stumble. There will inevitably be days when the heaviness wins. There will be days when you do not do the work, when you retreat into old habits and familiar comforts. When this happens, do not spiral into self-loathing. Do not let a single bad day convince you that all your progress has been erased. The path to growth is not a straight, unbroken line ascending into the sky. It is a jagged, spiral staircase. You will loop back over old terrain, facing the same lessons in different forms. When you fall, pause. Take a breath. Forgive yourself with the same vast, unconditional compassion you would offer to a dear friend, and then gently, firmly resolve to begin again tomorrow. The work is always waiting for you. It does not judge, it only asks for your presence. Over time, a beautiful alchemy occurs. The work that once felt like a tremendous burden begins to feel like an anchor. In a chaotic, unpredictable world, the daily practice of showing up for yourself becomes a source of profound stability. It becomes a sanctuary. You realize that the goal was never really the finish line. The goal was the person you had to become in order to cross that finish line. The struggle, the discipline, the tears, and the quiet victories reshape your character. You become more empathetic, more resilient, and more deeply connected to the pulse of life. You begin to recognize the invisible battles being fought by everyone around you, and your heart opens with a wider, more encompassing love. As we commit to our individual work, something miraculous happens to our connection with the world around us. When we are hiding from our potential, we often view others with a sense of defensiveness or envy. Their progress highlights our stagnation. But when you are in the arena, covered in the dust and sweat of your own genuine effort, your perception shifts dramatically. You no longer see competitors, you see fellow travelers. You recognize the exhaustion in someone else's eyes because you have felt it in your own. You can celebrate another person's victory without it diminishing your own worth because you know firsthand the agonizing price they paid to achieve it. Doing the work dissolves the walls of ego and isolation. It connects us to the universal human struggle. We realize that our personal healing contributes to the healing of the world, and our individual courage gives implicit permission for others to be brave. In this way, the quiet, solitary work we do in the shadows eventually becomes a beacon of light for humanity. So, wherever you are right now, whatever dream you are harboring in the quietest corners of your heart, whatever healing you know you need to undertake, I urge you to begin. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. Do not wait until you feel brave enough or smart enough or healed enough. You are enough right now, exactly as you are, with all your doubts and flaws and fears. The universe is holding its breath, waiting to see what you will create. Maya Angelou's words are a gentle hand on your shoulder, a loving reminder that the power has always resided within you. Intention is the compass, but action is the vehicle. Look at the mountain ahead of you. Acknowledge its immense height. Feel the fear in your chest, and then take the first step. And when tomorrow comes, take the next one. Let your life be a testament to the quiet, unyielding power of persistent effort. Let your journey be a light for those who are still lost in the dark, wondering if it is possible to change. It is possible. It is happening right now, in this very moment, as you decide to face the beautiful, demanding reality of your own potential. Your life will ultimately be measured by your willingness to try. If this message brought you comfort or clarity today, I warmly invite you to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear these words, and subscribe to Power in Words so we can continue walking this beautiful, challenging journey together as friends.